Take a moment and begin to settle in. Allow yourself to take a comfortable position, whether seated or lying down. The goal is to try to find a position that enables you to be relaxed, to not be distracted or withdrawn out of your practice because of the comfort or discomfort of the physical body. This IRest meditation is intended to help you explore the relationship that you have with stress, anxiety, tension, and how those appear in your world, and more importantly, pull you back or distract you from your deep inner knowing of peace and wholeness. So we will allow our practice to guide us, looking for those subtle parts in the practice where stress, tension, and anxiety may live, at the gross and the subtle levels. Taking a moment now just to recheck with yourself and determine, is there anything else you need right now? Before you begin to connect with your inner being. I invite you to close the eyes and allow your attention to begin to focus on the available sensory information that is present, both on an internal and an external level. Sights. Even with the eyes closed, notice your visual field. Notice the vast, open, spacious quality that accompanies the space behind the eyelids. Taste any residual taste in the mouth from a previous meal or snack that might be present, or the neutrality of it, even. Sounds. Simply noticing that sounds tend to find you, like you don't go looking for them. They're waves reverberating to your space. But can you sense the sounds closest to you or the ones furthest away? And then notice, lastly, your sense of touch. Notice the parts of touch that are more prevalent. Maybe these are the points of contact connecting to the surface, supporting you. And contrast that with something a bit lighter, like the touch of air on your skin or the way your clothing rubs against the skin. And in this sense of observation, this witnessing presence you're taking here, we are meeting this inquiry with a sense of curiosity, with welcoming. It is as if we are sitting back to observe and learn from our inner teacher, to not question or judge or correct. And as you rest here in this space, can you start to sense that as you drop back and witness the changing observations take place, that an opposite exists, an unchanging, a steadiness that is present, a place in which all of these changes arise from. And as you start to touch into that, can you notice any feeling of well-being, comfort, a sense of relief in knowing that everything is okay? And this sense of okayness, where does it take up space in you? Is it a physical part of your body that's more isolated? Or does it feel wider, broader, more expansive? And the possibility exists that you may not sense anything, or it may feel as it's out of reach. So take a moment here to recall a memory of a time when everything was okay, when you knew at your deepest sense of knowing that all was right and okay. That time may be a time when you were with a loved one or in a certain place that made you feel this way, or even interacting with certain things in your world that bring you this level of comfort. Allow yourself to notice the felt sense, the physical presence of that grounded feeling. Notice it in your body. Notice how it arises and heightens as the memory deepens and sharpens. And can you begin to let the memory fade into the background, but hold on to that grounded resource, that inner sense of well-being. Notice its location. Notice its size. Notice all components of where it lives, within your felt sense. This inner resource becomes a place that you can touch back to, that you can connect with at any time, that you need to throughout practice today. Taking a moment to connect to any intentions you have for practice. What brought you here today? Motivated you to take action? And does this action correlate to a larger, wider vision or goal you have for your life? Or is it a bit more isolated, a little more focused in the here and now? Taking a few moments to connect with that intention, to ground yourself in your why. We will begin now to start to take note of our physical body today. First, starting with just what is the tone of your body today? Can you sense any tension that might be existing right now in the body? And again, we meet that tension or anything that is present today with that sense of welcoming. The same love and attitude we give to a stranger entering our home as an invited guest. Letting your attention specifically drop into the jaw, into the mouth and lips, scanning each area for any sensations that are present. Sensing the area of the nose where air may be entering or exiting the nostrils. Your right eye has sensation. Feel the weight of the eye within the socket. Your left eye. Notice the space in which the eye resides into the head. And sense both left and right eyes at the same time as sensation. In sensing, we try to stay in the felt sense space, not drop back into thinking what is the right way to feel and sense and notice. It's to observe what is there, even if sensations are minimal or subtle. With time and attention, we allow our nervous system to come back online. as it knows we will pay attention to these areas we'd like to focus on. Sensing the forehead, cool or warm to the touch, relaxed. Any subtle vibrations that might be present there. Dropping down into the right shoulder and right upper arm, and the right forearm, the right hand and fingers, your entire right arm as sensation. Slowly start to close the hand. And as the fingers start to curl in, making a fist, can you create a small amount of tension? Feel it irradiate from the hand into the forearm, into the upper arm, all the way back into the shoulders, chest. As you create that bit of tension, can you notice any effects that has on your overall sense of well-being? Gently release the tension made by squeezing the hand, and then feel the natural weight of the right arm, heavy and at ease. Letting your attention now drop into the left shoulder and the left upper arm. The left forearm, the left hand and fingers, your entire left arm from the fingertips all the way back to the shoulder. All as one continuous line of sensation. Slowly start to curl the left fingers in. As they start to touch the palm, feel the small amount of tension, maybe 5 to 10%, that you can create in this left arm. Notice how this small amount of tension may have very minimal effects. And then gently, softly allow the hand to relax and sense the weight of the left arm. Heavy, relaxed, at ease. And then when it makes sense, can you let your attention notice both left and right arms at the same time, simultaneously? Observing what that does to the body and mind as you sense both sides. Letting your attention shift now to your upper torso, the space from the sternum to the collarbone. Noticing both the fronts and backside. Witnessing any sensations that might be present here in this space that houses the heart. And then letting the attention drop further down. Noticing the lower part of your torso, the space now between the sternum and the navel, or the sternum and the pelvis. Noticing the front and back side of this space. What sensations are present? Movement, tension, lightness, shallow or depth. Any or all of the above or none at all. Allowing your attention now to drop into the pelvis, into your glutes. Notice that you might feel or sense a strong presence of touch here. Scanning or shifting attention into the right thigh. The right leg, the calf and knee, and sensations. The right foot, the right toes, the entire right leg as sensation. And just as we did previously with the hands, can you start to flex the toes and the foot? So much so that that tension irradiates. Notice how tension in one place can grow, can expand, in this case, up the leg, into the calf, into the thigh, into the right glute. 5 to 10%, just enough to feel the muscles activate. And then softly relax and notice any sensations that occur upon the rebound of that tension. And then shifting your focus now into the left thigh. Into the left leg and calf and knee. All the way down into the left foot, the left toes. The entire left leg is sensation. Beginning to flex the foot, draw the toes towards the face, push out through the heel. Let a small amount of tension build on the left side. All the way from the toes irradiating up into the pelvis and into the glutes. And softly relax, release. Let the natural weight of both the left and the right legs Surrender to the surface beneath them. And notice both left and right sides as sensation. And can you widen your attention now to examine your whole body, almost as if you're looking down on yourself from above? Noticing the entire body as sensations, subtleness, heaviness, coolness, calmness. And if needed, can you notice that your sense of groundedness, that unchanging well-being you connected to earlier in practice? Can you allow yourself to connect back to that? To notice its relationship to the felt senses you experienced in this part of the body. Now begin to drop attention into the awareness of the state of your breath. Stress and tension, one of the first places we start to observe and notice it is in how we're breathing. Faster, shallow breaths are sometimes reflective of high levels of stress, versus a steady, calm, even pace of breathing. Our breath acts as a barometer to the situation that sends messages to the rest of our nervous system on how to respond. Where is your breathing showing up in your physical body? And how is it showing up? Simply observe it closely. Watch the breath enter. Feel when the body has received all that it needs. Notice that there might be a small pause before the exchange takes place as you exhale carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. And as the breath comes, that exhale comes to its end, notice the subtle pause there before the atmosphere returns air back to you. And now, when you come to your next exhale, can you stay in that pause as the breath exits without forcing, without straining, much like you did when you created a bit of tension in your physical body? Can you pause the breath? Even if it's only for a second or two longer. Can you rest in that space? If at any time the idea of even a minimal amount of breath retention starts to create stress in the body, notice that too. Connect back to your inner resource. Resume your natural breathing pattern. And then re-enter, should you choose to do so. With your next exhale, can you try to extend the breath retention for maybe one or two more counts? And notice that as you stretch it out, with it, you start to stretch out a moment of stillness. When it feels right, allow the breath to return to its natural state, its natural flow. Release the interventions. Take a moment here and notice any effects that may be taking place in the body and the mind. Ground yourself in your inner resource. Allow it to be your anchor amidst the changing space. And as you are here in open awareness, can you start to sense or notice any feelings of tension that might be present? Maybe in the jaw, in the neck. A space where you just kind of feel that it's become bound. Taking note of its size, taking note of its depth. And on the same token, can you notice any feelings of softness or lightness that might be present in the body? Resting and relaxing in whatever is coming up for you in practice today. Simply meeting and greeting any feelings present in your practice. Now we begin to notice and welcome any thoughts of positive stress that may have happened in your life. It could be a recent time or further back. Examples of positive stresses. It's goals that you set for yourself and accomplished. Maybe it's a project that you successfully completed. It was a form of stress that was doable but slightly outside of your comfort zone. And more importantly, it brought a sense of excitement into your life. As you welcome this thought, allow it to come in to your space, allow it to widen, to brighten, to even grow. And as that unfolds, can you notice where that shows up in your physical body? How you sense those thoughts within yourself. Eventually allowing the memory to fade, keeping the sensations. Now begin to welcome the opposite. This may be a stressor that was unwarranted, unwelcomed, a negative stressor even. It's running late to a mandatory appointment. It's too much work that you don't like and don't want or need. It is the constant sense that you are busy but never completing anything. It does not excite you. It feels heavy and as though it can weigh you down. And then as you invite any images or any thoughts associated with this type of stress, take care to allow it to come in slowly. To remember here that you can always drop this part of the practice and redirect thought back to your inner resource, that sense of grounded peace and well-being, and then return back to this moment. But allow the sensations that accompany this thought to be felt, to be noticed. And as before, allow the thought or the memory to fade. And begin to shift between the sense of positive, uplifting stress and that negative or its opposite stressor. Start to notice where both of those live in the body, and can you move back and forth between them? Welcoming first one and then the other. And then when it feels right, I want you to welcome both positive and negative sensations in the body. Hold them at the same time. And then reflect on the impact it has to the body and the mind. Spacious, open, can you notice how all of the sensations, the emotions and thoughts are just movement in an unchanging space? That you've been a witness to these objects arising in this space of unchanging awareness. Much like you would if you were watching a movie or a television show. Now, can you take that same attention that you were using to watch all of this unfold. Can you turn it on the awareness itself? Feel back into, melt into being a part of that vast, open, unchanging space. To connect with the space where experience unfolds and arises. As you rest here in this space of being, can you let that further dissolve into awareness? Can you allow the sense of the I thought to fall away, to drop back? Allow yourself to be here with the totality of your experience, just as it is. Noticing everything unfolding in awareness. Switching back and forth between being the witness, being the one who experiences, and then feeling yourself as the space in which the experience or objects arise. Noticing that it's not one or the other, yet both are true. That they come together to create a sense of wholeness. Continuing to move between noting and experiencing. To move between witnessing and being. Allow stillness, silence to enter the space. Be open with all that is present. When it makes sense to you, can you begin to blink the eyes open? Notice how the light and the color and the space of the room you're in begins to flood back in. Can you be attuned enough to notice the inner and the outer worlds and their subtle differences as you begin to switch or transition? Take a moment here to rest and reflect on your experience, taking note of any insights that might have occurred. Maybe reconnecting with your intention. Feel the subtleness of your inner resource, that space of peace and ease and well-being that can follow you outside of this practice. And remember that where stress lies, so does its opposite. It simply requires our attention and focus to notice.